When we're creating forms in Ignition, we use various input components such as a text field or a numeric text field or a drop-down list, and to the left-hand side we use a label to describe what that field is. We sometimes put validation in the text field so we can validate what the user enters in. Now this combination of components as well as the logic that we build into it is something that we use several times throughout our project. Well, rather than copying and pasting it, we can actually create a template out of these objects. So let's create our own text entry template here. Let's go down to our templates, right click and create a new one. I'm going to right click to rename this one as text entry. Just like any other template, we have to add a parameter first. So I'm going to right click on the template, go down to Customizers, Custom Properties, and add two parameters here. The first one being the value we want to display in the label. So I'll call this display. It's going to be a string data type. The second one is going to be the value of the text field, so the actual text. So I'm going to call it text, and again make that a string as well. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Now I've got those two things. I'm going to go back here to my window. I'm going to copy and paste these two components into my text entry. I'm then going to make the template a little bit smaller, so I nudge it up against those components. The first thing I'm going to do is, on the label here, is I'm going to bind the text property to a property, which is the display of the template. I'm going to make sure it's not bidirectional. Go ahead and press OK. On the actual text field, I'm going to bind the text property of it to a property selecting the text of the template. It's that property that we created. Now this one we definitely want to make bidirectional. Now if we make this property bidirectional, of course we can set the text of the template, which will update in the text field, but if somebody changes the value of the text field, it'll also update the property of the template, which we can then use in a button or somewhere else on that window. And so I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Last thing I want to do here is maybe change the background color of the text field when the user doesn't have a correct value. So let's just say if it's empty, I want it to be red. If it's not empty, I want it to be white. So we can actually go down and bind the background property to an expression, and the expression is going to be if, using the link on the top right, go and get the text field's text. If that text is equal to empty string, then I'm going to basically do a two-color of red. So I need it because it's a non-valid entry. Otherwise, I'll make it white. And that's it for my if statement. So essentially, it's going to do a little bit of validation in there for me. Now I've got this custom text entry that I can use on my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and close it and save it. Go to my window here. I can drag text entry onto the screen. And of course, it has two properties I have to set. The first being the display. Let's say it's first name. And the second being the actual text. So of course, if I use this component and I put a value like hello, you see that it's going to be white now. And the value of hello is here as a property that we can then use on the screen. But I can use this text entry multiple times and it can do validation for me. So that way I don't have to copy and paste these components. So the second one here I can say is last name. And of course I can enter in a value here. And I would see that again on the component here in the bottom left. So we can definitely make our own custom input components.